The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Look back at the satellite. You can see the area low pressure off the coast. This is kind of the feature that's driving a lot of our weather right now. And then we've got much drier conditions across the U.S. Large area of high pressure that's going to be dominating the weather for the next several days. So that's kind of the overall picture. Let me dive. I'm going to come back into the presentation here, and we'll start from the slide. Just kind of talk back over. We do have a large area of high pressure that was producing the basically clear skies from the Rockies all the way to the coast. That feature is going to be persistent over the next 7 days. You can see it's kind of gets anchored over the Ohio Valley and gradually builds over the mid-Atlantic and then stays anchored over us into the early part of next week and even in the middle part of next week. So weather's going to be dry. Not a whole lot of chances for rain outside of what's along the coast right now. Your 72-hour precip just right along the coast, and that's what's going on right now with the low that's anchored off the coast and what you could see on radar a few moments ago. So that's kind of the only rainfall. Outside of that, we are pretty much high and dry across the Ohio Valley, all through the mid-Atlantic states, all the way through, looking at even through next, Thursday. So not much in the way of rainfall. So regional temperature-wise, we're still cool today. Temperatures in the 60s, and we see a gradual warm-up. Starting to bump up into the mid to upper 60s tomorrow and Saturday. And by the middle of next week, we're getting up into the mid to upper 70s. And for right now, generally speaking, temperatures in the around 70, upper 60s to the lower 70s is about normal. So you can see by middle next week, we're getting back up in the neighborhood of, about 5 degrees above normal. So we'll be a little bit warmer. We do have one more cold night to deal with tonight. So especially areas along the Piedmont, from I-95 west, some of the cooler areas, cool spots will be dropping off into the mid-30s. And in the Piedmont counties, it's pretty much going to be a little bit more widespread. So there could be another potential for frost advisory being issued in the Piedmont counties. We'll have to keep an eye on that as we go through the day today. I would suspect that if anything's going to be issued, probably early this afternoon, you'd see an advisory posted for that. But from a precip standpoint, you can see from pretty much Friday on, there's no chance of rain in that time period. Marine threat with that low off the coast. We do have some gusty northerly winds, and this is going on right now. It's expected to continue today, gradually begin to weaken tomorrow and diminish as we get into Saturday. But the thing with it is not only do we have small craft with that now, but we've also got the waves coming up. And especially in the coastal waters, we're going to continue to push water toward the coast. So it's going to continue to produce the stronger wave. So this wave threat may actually linger out even into Sunday. So you may see small craft in the coastal waters and mouth of the bay even linger out through Sunday. So it may not be a great weekend to be getting out into the waters for any kind of fishing and things of that nature. So that's kind of where we are with the marine threat. And you can see the wind probability, strong probability of small craft conditions. Really just a little hint that maybe some of these could peak up into gales. And I think with some of the gusts we are seeing a few gale gusts in this area right now, but that should gradually diminish throughout the day today. And then you can see your threat over the next 5 days. So you can see it gradually diminishing as we get out into Sunday and Monday. Sunday, I think, is the one we may have to keep an eye on to see if some of these waves don't stay a little bit higher toward the coast. That may be something we'll have to keep an eye on. So I think if anything in the forecast-wise, the threat for small craft may come back in, just especially maybe even just half the day on Sunday with the wave energy still coming toward the coast. And looking at the wave heights, you can see out here as we get into Sunday, you're still seeing quite a bit of wave action getting up in the 4 or 5 foot range, still lingering into Sunday afternoon. So, I think that's really kind of the biggest threat we're going to be dealing with over the weekend is the on the marine side is that wave energy, especially lingering into Saturday and into Sunday, because you can see the winds are really starting to back off as we get into Saturday, getting down back into the 15 to 20 knot range and even in the 10 to 15 by the time we get to Sunday. Looking at your tidal flooding, this is where your bigger threat is from a land perspective. So we could be seeing up to 1 foot, and you're getting not only the wave action from this low off the coast pushing water, but we're also dealing with the king tide, with the high tide, with the full moon expected this weekend. So it's going to push those astronomical tides even higher. So the combination puts us in a scenario where we're probably going to be seeing some minor flooding. So you can see breaking it down Friday, and Saturday seem to be the worst days. I wouldn't be surprised as we get out into Sunday that this may not linger out into Sunday. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. I think that's the one change. Again, it all depends on how much wave energy still is being pushed back toward the coast. Do we kind of trap water in the bay and still have some of those issues? So that'll be something that we'll have to keep an eye on as we go through the weekend to see if some of that coastal flooding persists, even with the last higher of the two high tides on Sunday afternoon. So looking at the hydrographs, you can see each of the higher of the two high tides starts to push us up into minor. So that's in Kiptapeak, Bay Bridge Tunnel, we're getting very close. And then even at Sewell's, we're pushing up with those two tides, getting up for a very short period of time, right around high tide, getting up into minor. So it'll be interesting to see what happens out on Sunday, whether as we get little more data out there and see what happens with that wave action. We could potentially have one more on Sunday. That'll be something we'll have to keep an eye on and watch. And again, looking at the ocean, you're getting the same ideas. And down toward Duck, maybe even a little bit higher. So it's possible you get down in Currituck in those areas, you may actually see a little bit more water. Forecast right now actually gets you up close into moderate. So that'll be something we'll have to be keeping an eye out on over the next several days. But we're pushing water toward the coast. We got the higher than normal astronomical tide. So those two higher of the high tides each day are going to be definitely getting up into minor flood levels. Drought monitor wise, because we haven't had any rain, you're starting to see a little bit of expansion of abnormally dry. I don't know if we've ever actually gotten the eastern shore out of that, but we do even have a little bit of D1. So we're still fairly dry up on the eastern shore. And the next week is really not going to enhance that. So we may see some of these conditions begin to worsen. And even though we've had quite a bit of rainfall, at least it feels like it, over Eastern Virginia, the Piedmont. I know we had, some river flooding not too long ago. That's probably, several weeks now in the rearview mirror. And without much rain over that time period, we are drying out. So with the next 7 days being dry, we may see an expansion of these abnormally dry conditions next week on the drought monitor. So just something to kind of keep an eye on as we go through the next week. So we could actually start to see the need for a little bit of rainfall. We don't want to get into the point that we're very dry and as leaves start to fall, start looking at potential for increase in wildfires, things of that nature. So that'll be something to monitor over the next week or two. And looking ahead, the outlook doesn't provide much hope for rainfall. So this is the 22nd through the 26th. So we're getting out just beyond the kind of that next week time period, looking most of next week in the back end. Below normal rainfall, above normal temperatures, and until that area of high pressure moves, we're going to struggle to get rainfall into the mid-Atlantic states. So we're definitely going to need a little bit of a pattern change at this point to start seeing some of these fronts coming in. But we've got to get the Gulf of Mexico to open back up so we can get some moisture to flow in around it as well. So that'll be something. Hopefully, as we get toward the back end of the month, we'll start to see some rain. But even looking at some of the longer range models right now, we're not seeing much in the way of a pattern change to start to see some of that Gulf moisture be able to creep back in. So, I think this pattern setting up of being below normal precip wise probably lingers pretty much through the rest of the month at this point. So that's pretty much everything with the update today. I apologize for the technical difficulties, and we will talk with you guys again next week. Thank you.